Hi everybody and happy Sunday, happy Black History Month. I don't feel like I fit the shoes, but they seem to be so big. I haven't done the most important or the most, impactful work, but I tell myself every day is a step towards it. And every little life I touch is, what is important to me. Sorry, my voice is so coarse. I got COVID a month ago, and the effects on my chest have refused to leave, so my voice is a culprit here. Excuse me. So today I'm very honored to be here in honor of Black History Month. My favorite quote and what drives me every day is by Martin Luther King. Life's most urgent and persistent question is, what are you doing for others? It makes me be able to step out of myself and know that I am put in this world by God, not just for myself, but for other people. And the most important one for me starts with being a mother. It's the simplest, but the most important thing I see as I'm able to do that can impact my generation and the next. So, excuse me. Thank you so much, Rick, for the invitation again. Today I want to talk about the work I do as a military spouse and someone who is an advocate for foreign-born military spouses. And my life with the military has been a roller coaster. I think I shared the story before, up and down and into places I did not want to be, particularly that at some point led me to go back to Kenya. Excuse me. Led me to go back to Kenya because I saw myself sliding into a dark place that I did not know if I was going to come out. So I went into an environment that I knew was familiar, that had the social support that I needed, and I did the things I loved. And then I came back after 3 years to continue, the search and to help my husband continue with his military service. I felt so bad that I'm the one who took him away from what he was doing for the country. Yeah, so we came back in 2018. And just to take a step back a little, is the reason I felt the military had impacted my life in a negative way was because as a professional, I came in as someone who had good education and good work experience, but I could not, for some reason, get into a position that adequately appreciated my level of skill and my level of, education and experience. So the pressures of all that and having kids in an environment where there was no support, as much support as I needed, and at the time I was also a full-time student, led me to, go back to a place that felt a little more familiar. So when I came back in 2018 and started facing the same issues again with finding meaningful, purposeful employment, felt like, oh my God, why did you leave everything you knew again? Didn't the first time teach you? So I felt like, wow, who am I not to learn from? I tell my kids, learn from your mistakes, learn from, your experiences. And here I was repeating the same thing and hoping that, the outcomes would be different. So in 2020, I decided that I needed to use that particular experience to then create awareness of the things that I and the people like me are facing within the US being part of the military. A lot of professionals come in, but because of the, the mobile, loosely, life of a military spouse, maybe an employer will be like, okay, so how long will you stay with us? And sometimes you cannot explain because you don't know the next moment you're upping and leaving, So I thought to myself, I cannot let this experience just go to waste. So I'm now an ardent advocate for foreign-born military spouses and raising acute awareness of the issues that we face so that as policymakers and as lawmakers, the military community can find a way to help us and accommodate our challenges and see how we can continue to build this country, because we love it. We're just seeking that opportunity to do more. So I pivoted into the military community, having not been an active part of it in 2020. And last year I landed a fellowship with sponsorship from JP Morgan Chase to be part of their campaign for inclusion. This campaign is aimed at increasing diversity in leadership within the military and veteran serving organizations. Why? Because when someone like me is looking to serve, I am a humanitarian at heart. I pride myself in that. If I'm looking to serve, just like if I'm looking to get into a community, anybody, if you're looking to get into a community, the things that are familiar for you and the things that seem like you are more attracted to that, isn't it? It's just human. There's nothing wrong with that. But when the face of where you want to get into doesn't show you that you are part of it, you will not actively want to get in there, right? So for so long now we made the realization that, it's the face of it that prevents people like me to extend our professional and our passions to continue serving the military. So excuse me, we are actively advocating for more diversity and inclusion of people who have quality of leadership to help to diversify leadership in the space. So the program takes men and women of color who have good educational and work experience, and who'd be able to, after this fellowship, to take leadership roles within whether it's serving within the DoD or serving within VA or the non-profit space, the ones that serve the military community, so that people like me can see themselves. And I see the impact I've had on hundreds of lives of foreign-born spouses who, a Sunday like this, I dedicate myself to, food prep, of course. My kids have to eat. But also, most of the day today, I am connecting with foreign-born spouses who are referred to me by most of these military serving organizations because they see me as the face of resilience, as the face of, here, this is what we're doing. And so we are forming an army, and I'm also helping to connect them to different resources that I myself have worked so hard to come by. And so they don't feel so alone. They can see me as someone who represents for them, the thing they have not been able to see. I might not be the CEO of any of those companies or any of those organizations, but they see me as someone in a space that is able to do something. So I continue every Sunday to just talk. Apart from talking, let me take back a step back. A simple thing as talking to somebody and acknowledging where they are and acknowledging their feelings, acknowledging their journey, just giving them an acknowledgement of what they are going through. I find that has been very powerful. Someone has listened to me and people continue to listen to me. But for them, we are just opening the space for more and more and more. And this is because out from research, the organization I work with is Blue Star Families. It's mostly based on the research that has found that all black and brown families or military families of color have negative outcomes with how the military affects their lives. So when we're talking about housing, food, employment, compared to their counterparts, they have worse outcomes. With the military affects them more negatively than their white counterparts. And so we are trying to raise awareness of these issues. And as we do that, as usual, you find, This work, I say, must be a work of heart. Honestly, if it was not a work of heart, it would be so hard, because you try to tell somebody, like, okay, we are talking about housing insecurity, food insecurity, what? However, I want to bring your attention to how black and brown families are affected, so that tomorrow when we are making decisions, we can consider giving a little more or paying more attention to this, so that we can bring them at par with their counterparts. Then you face things like, oh, but those are things that every military family faces. I mean, what makes that group special? I'm not saying they're special. None of us is more special than the other. I'm just telling you that if I had a child and one of them was suffering because, not suffering, but the effects of what I was doing in the house affected them more negatively than the others, I would, as a parent, want to do more for them to bring them to par. And it will never be perfect. They will never be the same. Families are different. But I would do something. So, yeah, as I continue the work, I want to thank you all for being here, as we also do, racial equity. It's part of the work. But as I was saying to Jeremy, it is hard. It will never stop at just, come on, let's do this. It takes so much more. It takes so much more, because if you're not ready for it here, and here particularly, this work cannot be easy. With those few remarks, I just want to say thank you for being here, and thank you for supporting this work. And I want to ask for your continued prayers, so that I can continue doing this work. Thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you, Lydia.